Oh, welcome back to the AL Central Rundown. I'm Eric, and with me today is Lee, Dan, and Sam. Ty, I believe, is stuck in a snowbank somewhere in Chicago. We don't know. It's been a snowy week for everywhere but where I live, so sucks all for you guys.
You get no snow.
Yeah, no, we had some rain. Is that as bad? Is that good? But no,
I
that's
like
about as
snow,
far as we did.
so.
So it's the winter meetings,
Oh.
and really nothing has happened. Like, somehow MLB has spent $500 million on free agents already, but that's Cease going to the Blue Jays. That is Naylor going to Seattle. Devin Williams got 50 million from the Mets, and a bunch of relievers signed, including a few from the Central. Though they didn't really chip into the $500 million all that much, but they certainly contributed. Look at them. So it's the week after Thanksgiving. How was your guys' Thanksgiving?
Well, Lions lost, but other than that, it was good. But
The Chiefs
Lions
lost, but
losing,
other
yeah.
than that, it was good.
I think the Browns are currently losing or just lost, so we got that going for us. But it was
Hey,
good.
but
Saw some
Shadur
family, had a good
Sanders
time.
looked good today.
I'm not doing this again, Sam.
What if he is the answer? Like, what if?
That
Be
would be
pretty
so
cool.
funny.
I don't know. The ghost of Tim Couch is going to come back and, I don't know, revive.
Tim
But
Couch.
so, like I said, the winter meetings are coming up next week. There really isn't a lot to talk about today. So I think we've been flirting with talking about the Hall of Fame for the last couple of weeks. So I think we're going to talk about that today. And then there's not that I am a beat writer, but I've been told that when you're a beat writer, and it's one of these type of occasions where you don't have enough for a full article, but you have some stuff that you can just get off your mind. It's the clearing out the notebook article where we're just going to list a bunch of random thoughts, and then maybe by this time next week, after the winter meetings, maybe there has been a signing of substance, a trade of substance, maybe a little bit more meat to talk about. But this is a more fun, speculative talk about the Hall of Fame big picture episode. So I don't know. So yeah, Hall of Fame ballot came out. Has a bunch of former Central names. Not that you think about it right away. On this graphic that we're showing, it was from MLB.com. Everyone with like that highlighted yellow is their first year on the ballot. So the names Brian Braun, Sin Chu Chu, Edwin Encarnacion, Gio Gonzalez, Alex Gordon, Cole Hamels, Matt Kemp, Howard Kendrick, Nick Markakis, Daniel Murphy, Hunter Pence, and then Rick Porcello. And then just a bunch of random names of people who we believe should be on it. So, what do you got? What is this, a weak ballot, strong ballot? How are we thinking?
I think this is a pretty weak ballot, is it not? And especially when you consider the guys who are on for the first time. Because
Yes.
the guy, and just looking at WAR on Baseball Reference, the guy with the most WAR is Cole Hamels of the guys who are on the ballot for the first year. You got Cole Hamels, Ryan Braun, Alex Gordon, Shin Soo Choo, and then it really goes down as you get into guys like Edwin Encarnacion, Howie Kendrick, Nick Markakis. So as far as guys who are on the ballot for the first time, it's pretty weak in my opinion.
Yeah, I think this. I would not be surprised if none of those guys on the first who are on there for the first time don't make it next year. Just because it's like I feel like inevitably a couple of them will. But like I wouldn't be surprised if none of them do. There was no guy on there that I'm like, yeah, he should really like I don't know. It just feels really weak. Like Rick
I agree with the
Porcello,
pre.
like no. I mean,
I mean, Cy Young Award winner Rick Porcello, former Carl Willis student Rick Porcello. I agree. I look at this ballot at large, not just the first year guys, and I see a bunch of guys that I can squint my eyes and say that guy's a Hall of Famer. And actually, I have them grouped into like three tiers where I'm like, I feel most confident about these two. There's some in the middle, and then there's a couple at the bottom. But in general, there's nobody on this ballot that just blares out neon sign Hall of Famer, in my opinion. Which in a way makes it more interesting, but in another way really complicates things. So it
There's a
kind of
lot of
depends
there's
on
a
your
lot of
preferences.
there's a lot of Hall of Very Good on this ballot.
So so you can't tell me it's a weak Hall of Fame ballot when A-Rod, Beltran, Ramirez are still on it. I understand this is the bigger conversation of steroids and cheating and all of that, but Alex Rodriguez was the second or third best player of his generation outside of Barry Bonds, who also not in the Hall of Fame. Carlos Beltran was very good for a very long time. He's now on his fourth year of the ballot. He's probably getting in. Probably should have went. He probably could have been a first or second year guy if he didn't have the Astros cheating scandal that I think the beat writers are still kind of holding him in on. But I get a lot of the first year guys. I get it. I think Mark Burley is a bit underappreciated. It's his first year on the ballot. He
I
was
was going to say
never.
the same thing.
What's that?
I was going to say the same thing.
Right. I would be okay with Mark Burley getting in, but if you want to go with, I think he was a top five Cy Young once. He was a 4 or 5 time All Star, and then he won a bunch of Gold Gloves as a pitcher. Other than your dad's favorite pitcher growing up because he just took the ball and threw it, and he was the fastest person on the mound. I get it. It is one of the weaker ballots, but there are certain. I can think of 7 people who I think I would put in the Hall of Fame, including Andrew Jones being on his ninth ballot is effing ridiculous. He should have been in 5 years ago.
Okay, why is this name spelled with a U? That's okay. Sorry, no, I just got distracted.
Yeah, I know. Maybe that's why. We figured it out, everyone. He spelled his name wrong, and everyone
What
was.
is the strong argument for Andrew Jones?
He was the best defensive center fielder in the 90s, and he was a legitimate 30-30 threat for like
By
5 or
what measure? Because I think Kenny Lofton was the best defensive center fielder of the
I think
90s.
Kenny Lofton can also be a
Or
defensive.
Ken Griffey Jr.
Let's do this. Let's go.
Andrew Jones did win
Because
his
if you
first
say
Gold Glove until
war, if you say by
1998.
Bill James himself is very dubious about Andrew Jones's uh, Hall of Fame case because
Sure.
defensive war measured back then wasn't that great of a measure. We didn't have the tech we have now with StatCast and et cetera to
Right, but if
get
we're
good
going
data.
to do that, so he has 24 career defensive war. Now, what you're saying is yes, you're right. It's a very flawed system. But if we're also going to go with Kenny Lofton, we're also going to have to. Oh, that's not. That's a very different Lofton.
Wrong
Oh
law.
yeah, hell yeah.
So 24 for Andrew Jones. Defensive war for Kenny Lofton is 15.5. Same metric, baseball reference. Kenny Lofton actually played a lot longer than I thought he did. Yeah, I know he played around for a while, but I.
It's a flawed metric. That's my point.
It is a flawed metric, but that is what we have. Other than the eye test and Gold Gloves, which, by the way, what did
You won
10-time Gold
Yeah.
Glove for Jones and where you at, Kenny?
4 times.
4. Yeah.
4-time Gold Glove for it. So like, I get it. It is flawed. That's all we can deal with right now is flawed defensive stats. Do I think Kenny Lofton would be better appreciated? I think he was appreciated well in his time, but I feel like he would be another
And
level above.
I feel like
I didn't mean to make this Andrew Jones versus Kenny Lofton. That was just kind of the example that came to mind. But I don't feel as strongly about Andrew Jones getting in. I don't. It's because of the measures we use.
Well, also like Kenny Lofton not being on the ballot is a shame. Like
Yeah.
being like dropped off the ballot
In the
is
first year.
yeah, not okay. So I don't know. It is what it is, but and I guess like maybe I care about the Hall of Fame maybe more than I should because and it just kind of depends on what you feel about the Hall of Fame. Are you a big hall person? Are you a small hall? Are you there as this ultimate extreme honor for the player? Do you think of it as just a museum and little else? All of that kind of comes into play. But Kenny Lofton should
And
be in. Andrew Jones should have been in a long time ago. Beltran, Ramirez, Jones. I even think there's a case for Felix Hernandez. Was there anyone better for 5 years than King Felix?
Felix Hernandez is in my group of guys that I think I would vote for.
Yep. Not a big
I
team.
think I think for both Hernandez and Mark Burley, the fact that they pitched a perfect game is doing a lot of heavy lifting as well.
Sure.
I,
Yeah,
I
I
want
was
to say one
actually
thing about Burley too. I'm of the mind that, we could talk about metrics, we could talk about data, but I think players that do things in a unique way and do it successfully, to me, that is like a vote in your favor as well. I call it like the person I think of is Vladimir Guerrero. Vladimir Guerrero on his face was a great ball player, like not taking anything away from him. But the things that you remember about him are the fact he could hit a ball from the bill of his cap to his ankles, and the fact he had a rocket in right field. Those things, the fact that he was differentiating himself matters. Burley is a lefty who threw 88 at most, worked quickly. Like he had things about his game that made him memorable. And to me, I think he didn't make my list, but I would totally not argue with somebody who wanted to vote for him for the Hall.
you could argue. I know the perfect game is what he's pulling, but on YouTube, I'm actually showing the catch from that perfect game with Dwayne
Hmm.
Wise, who is
Mm-hmm.
actually like in that spot. It just says the catch. That's arguably just as famous as
Oh yeah,
the perfect game itself. So Mark Burley was good. I think he'd be better appreciated today, but I also wouldn't have an issue with him getting in the Hall of Fame.
I guess I'm kind of in the minority here. I feel like I guess I just have a really high bar for what Hall of Fame should be. Like I kind of always view it as like the best of the best, like top tier players, I guess. You know, I guess I just have a very high bar for what I consider a Hall of Fame player. Like there's really good players and then there's Hall of Fame players, if that makes sense.
It does. And I think there's a lot of, especially these days, discourse with, we talk a lot about kind of how about fans and fandom. Everybody, not everybody, but a lot of the ballots get published on the internet now. People explain their voting and all this, and it gives the opportunity for fans to go, that guy, that voter is an idiot. This voter I agree with. I like the fact that there's 7 different ways that you can approach this. I think that's why we have people vote in the first place. Like, if you just wanted to give it to the 5 highest war people every year, you could totally do. No, we have people vote on this so that you can get different perspectives on it. So I think it's very easy to put yourself in a box and narrow and say this is a Hall of Famer. But the fact that Lee views it a little bit differently than Eric does than I do, obviously we're not voters, but it makes my point for me. It's the same premise. Jarrett Wright giving up
Look at
turn
bombs,
it over
parties
to
culture.
AI.
Turn it over. God no.
Yeah, please don't.
I mean, I was wondering I mean, how high of a chance do we have that this is another year where no one gets in?
I would not be surprised, but I think Beltran's going to get in.
Because
I
somebody,
wouldn't be surprised either, but I could also very easily see Beltran not getting in.
I think
Beltran
it's
was
higher
really
than it
close
should be.
last year, right?
He was at
70%.
Was
70.
Beltran's at 70%
Yeah,
last year?
he'll
What's
get in,
the
I think.
it's like what, 80?
75.
75.
75. Okay. And I also wouldn't be surprised if everyone goes, "Oh, well, it's Manny's last year, so let's vote for him." He gets in.
I don't see it.
Yeah, I think the
I
It's
don't see
same.
it
really
I don't
either.
think he should, but my point is I see that happening. That could be a thing that happens.
A-Rod and Manny, I view similarly. My experience is more so with Manny. Manny is legitimately the best right-handed hitter I've ever seen. Power, contact, the whole thing. Like nobody had a better, just natural ability to hit a baseball really hard than Manny Ramirez.
Boy, I'm so
But
glad
he
you
got,
said that just there. Look at this monster.
yeah, yep, yep.
It's the
Just
old
and
Sky
points. Thank
Dome.
you.
That's the sixth deck.
Yep. Oh, I think that was Chris Carpenter, who's a pretty good pitcher.
Good God.
Um, but it's just he got not only did he have suspicion of steroids, he literally got caught twice in tests. I don't think you can come back from that and make the Hall at this point. I don't see the traction for that.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get it either. I
But
would
like,
still vote for him because I think, like you said, he was one of the best hitters of his generation. It does seem weird not to have that in the Hall of Fame, but that precedent has been established long before this year. So I
do we
don't.
want to have that conversation on steroid users and also cheating scandal and how that should be?
Why
Because
not?
my stance is cheaters shouldn't get in. I don't. I
Same
think
here.
that's
Then
I think I think it's a fine line because there's a difference between someone who tested positive and someone who, well, we think that this person did, you know what I mean?
sure.
And I've often said that the Hall of Fame is the baseball museum. The guy with the most hits and the guy with the most home runs should be in there.
Yep.
I guess I view the Hall of Fame and the Hall of Fame Museum as like different concepts, I guess. I don't know
I
how to explain that. Like I feel like getting into the Hall of Fame and then being in the baseball museum are different. You know, like if you go to the Hall of Fame, there's the Hall of Fame and with the Hall of Fame museum, right? But like you do stuff to get into Hall of Fame museum, but being elected into the Hall of Fame feels different. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
Sure.
I don't
No, I get what you're saying, and there is a philosophical element to, you know, we can have a epistemological discussion on what is the Hall of Fame, but for me, I think I don't think it's that complex.
Right.
know. No, that's
I'm
fine.
I
actually I'm actually really glad the Leafs said it that way because I've been feeling that for a really long time and haven't been able to put it in words. I think you did that very well. I I don't want Barry Bonds to not be on the list as the number one person for home runs ever. I don't want Pete Rose to not be number one on the list for hits ever. But I don't want those individuals commemorated with a placard in the pomp and circumstance of the Hall of Fame when they did the things that they did that are antithetical to the spirit of the sport. That's where I'm at with. And you could talk about C League and all. I don't care. Two wrongs don't make a right, and I don't want that commemorated. It's that simple. But I also don't want to act like they never existed or anything like that either.
Right. I'm not saying let's take off Barry Bonds' record. I'm saying don't put him in the Hall of Best Players ever because he cheated, and I guess that's where I stand on that.
And I was saying this before we got on, but Bonds is the case that I look at because what he did was absurd. And some people go with that and go, "Oh my God, what a great player that he did these amazing." He hit 73 home runs at 36 years old. He had the year where if he never would have swung the bat, his OPS would have been whatever it was because he walked so much. All of that stuff stems from the fact that he was injecting medical enhancements into his body. Like that, no player in the history of the sport hit the most home runs they ever hit at 36 years old. That's like a bridge too far for me. It's at the point where you can't like rationalize anything else other than that dude was cheating. I think there's no
When
suspension of belief there whatsoever. So that's where I kind of start with all this, and from there, um, if I feel that way about him in particular, I feel like you can't just let other people who did
see.
it and didn't do
I
it
don't
as
know,
well.
Dan. Nelson Cruz hit the most home runs of his career at age 38. So
I watched a lot of those. It was really fun.
I didn't
he
like
had
I didn't like any of those. They shouldn't count
So
because I said so.
he
so
had
point
some
taken.
Nelson Cruz has some pretty insane old age
Yeah.
stats.
So point taken, but I think by general, if you could find a counterexample, that's wonderful. And I'm not being sarcastic. I appreciate that, Sam. But
Didn't
like,
Nelson
I think
Cruz
my point
hit
stands. That
speed?
naturally doesn't typically happen.
No, it
Not, and he
doesn't.
didn't hit 73.
No, he didn't. But I buy all of it. I do think there's a little bit of, if we're not going to have cheaters in the Hall of Fame, we already have cheaters in the Hall of Fame. David Ortiz, whether it was acknowledged publicly or not, was part of the testing to bring in the actual drug policy. He failed it. You can say whatever you would like about it, but David Ortiz was voted in after that happened. You already have people who were voted in before they knew the steroid era was a thing. You didn't take them out. If you want to talk about someone just being a jerk, I know this is the example everyone uses. Ty Cobb is still in the Hall of Fame, and he was a pretty big jerk. You have guys that have been cheating and are not in. It's just, well, it comes down to, did the beat reporters like this guy or not? And I get it's a Hall of Fame. It should be something that's fun and you can honor the best players that represent your sport. And if you believe the spirit of those players is not represented because they're an asshole, I get it. But be consistent with it then. If there's no
Well,
cheating in the Hall of Fame,
and,
take
I
them
feel
all
like-
out.
I was
feel like
going to
that's
make that
different,
point
though.
as well. I was going to make that point as well because when you have a nickname like Big Poppy and everybody likes you, then it's pretty easy for us to like wave our hand and, you know, pretend like that didn't happen. And you mentioned being a jerk. Ryan Braun is not going to get into the Hall of Fame, not just because of the steroid thing, but also because Ryan Braun was a pretty significant jerk to someone who was just doing their job. You know, so like it's multiple
Alternatively,
things can be true.
I would say that just because someone gets away with robbing a bank doesn't mean that we let everybody that robs a bank get away with it from here on
Yeah,
in.
that's what I was gonna say. Just because we let people in who did it before doesn't mean we should continue to just like you change the rules. Like you can do that.
Right.
Like you
Except
don't
for
have to go back and take them all out, but
up until 2002 or 2003, there was no steroid policy, and a lot of the drugs that these guys were taking were actually over the counter stuff they could buy. Like,
I mean, I still don't
Still
do it.
It's
against
not-
the spirit of the sport, in my opinion.
right,
Yeah.
but and also, I said this before we came on too. The era is the steroid era. Everyone was doing it. It is defined by performance enhancing drugs. At what point are we pretending that any player in like Fred McGriff seems to get a pass because Fred McGriff seems to not be the type to take steroids? Ken Griffey Jr.
Even
doesn't seem to be the type
Tommy,
to
this is
take.
another one.
I just
Maglio Ordonez.
right. So every beanpole, tubby, anyone who wasn't like actually like linked to HGH or steroids, you can get in
Well, if
because you
oh
passed
yeah,
the
or
eye.
if you don't have any evidence of anything, then you're not going to assume that that person was doing it.
Well, technically,
I
you don't
mean,
have evidence
I
of
think
bonds
I think
either.
it's very lazy to say, well, they were all doing it. I think
But you don't
that's
have
not.
evidence of
Because I
Bonds
think
doing it. It's
also
clear he was doing it, but there's no evidence of him doing it as far as a positive test.
Evidence
I
is
think
his
also
head
saying
grew seven
everyone was
times
doing
its
it
original
is
size.
Sure, but there's
There
no
was a whole
positive test.
investigation with Balco that he testified under jury, if I'm not mistaken.
Sure.
Like there was to say there was nothing is not true.
Right. I'm not naive enough to think that Barry Bonds that he
Yeah.
took steroids. It's clear he did. But we're just picking and choosing who we like and who's getting in and who's not. And we're giving some people passes, some aren't. But it just kind of goes back to I'll kind of like go with Lee's point. I'll kind of marry Lee's point and Sam's point. I think Barry Bonds should be in. However, when you're just a despicable human being, Pete Rose, who has multiple allocation, who was accused of sleeping with a 13-year-old he believed to be 16 years old, you don't need to be memorized. Omar Vizquel was maybe a fringe candidate at best. If you were convicted of beating your wife, you do not belong in that category. Like there, you are just a miserable person. I do not want you in.
Can I? I'm going to trivialize this so much, and I really apologize. The Omar argument before all the nasty stuff came out to me was arguably the most interesting argument in the
Sure.
Hall of Fame. Like, and it's been ruined by him being a despicable person, unfortunately. So it is what it is, and he should not be on a ballot, and he should not be, again, commemorated by the Hall of Fame for what he did. But man, am I disappointed in him because I think that was a really interesting. He fits perfectly in my a thing about like guys that are memorable, like Vlad Guerrero and Burley.
Yeah. Now I say
think
that
part of
selfishly.
it I think part of it is that baseball is supposed to be the nice sport. Baseball is supposed to be America's pastime. It's the James Earl Jones speech in Field of Dreams. It's the nice fun sport where we get together and watch this. This isn't really a thing in I mean Lawrence Taylor's in the NFL Hall of Fame. Certified bad guy,
Right.
certified criminal,
If
certified
anything, that's in
someone.
his favor because he was a mean,
Right.
bad
Yeah,
dude, defensive player, right? Like,
but football's different, right? And so we accept that there are some real bad guys who play football. That's not supposed to be the case in baseball. So I think it's a little bit of because of the fact that we're talking about baseball, it just the math and the calculus is
Right.
different, and also just because the Baseball Hall of Fame is the hardest one to get into.
Sure. There is some Americana. I can believe that there is some like Americana involved in that because like there's a football Hall of Fame, there's a basketball Hall of Fame, but it does seem like the baseball Hall of Fame just seems to have a little bit more weight, and that's just because it came first and it's the oldest sport
Mm-hmm.
in the country. Well, arguably, you want to talk about golf, whatever, but yeah. Anyway, are there any
Lacrosse.
cases? I'm showing mine on the screen on YouTube right now. He's not getting in, and I'm biased because he's my favorite player of all time. Dory Hunter was very good Gold Glove defensive center fielder. Could pop 30 home runs. Could steal 30 bases. Just, I loved watching him play. He's not getting in, but I think if I think Sam already alluded to it. If there's a Hall of Very Good, Tory Hunter is a first ballot Hall of Very Good.
I'll tell you what. I will give Alex Gordon like a 5% chance of getting in
Yep.
someday down the road. And I think part of it is just the story of him being a local guy and kind of resurrecting his career after a couple of pretty underwhelming years, and also the moments that he had of the home run in the World Series, the hit against Bumgardner in the ninth inning of the World Series the previous year. I think he's got a lot of big moments, and he's got a lot of you know a lot of sort of elements that you like to see. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'll give it like a 5% chance of happening someday down the road.
really good college baseball player too. Not that this is the professional baseball Hall of Fame, but
Yeah. It's not like basketball where it's the college and professional Hall of Fame.
and women's and all of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like not to like roll the conversation back. Is the conversation about Beltran for cheating different because of like the cheating scandal versus the steroid use?
I also
Yeah.
think Beltran was just such a minor part of that team that it's a little bit
I mean, but
He
different.
it's
was
thought
he
that
was
he
the
was the guy
instigator of
that
it. Like he was like the
set it up.
mastermind of it though. Like that was the issue
Yeah.
with the Astros cheating scandal. He was still a prominent player on that team. But yeah, he basically came up. He was the one that stole the signs that relayed it to the video room.
Yeah. Yeah,
He
that's
came
true.
up with
That's
the
true.
idea. He didn't benefit a whole lot from it because he wasn't really that good. But like, I mean, he was kind of his idea. Like,
Right.
And the
Well,
fact
that
the fact that he was going to get hired as a manager and then
yeah.
the Mets changed their mind after the
yeah,
fact. I think that's a pretty bad look as well.
This is maybe a silly way of thinking about it, but I would feel more uncomfortable voting for Carlos Beltran for the Hall of Fame than I would say Jose Altuve
I agree
or
with you.
George
Mm.
Springer someday, off the fact that he was doing the thing like he was a force multiplier in that situation. He was doing the things that allowed those guys to cheat. And by the way, all those guys have had decent careers in the years that have come after. And I remember I did an article at the time when I was doing some writing. Those guys' home road splits in general were pretty much the same. So the numbers didn't necessarily dictate they were getting a huge benefit out of it anyway.
Right.
But I say all that not to absolve them of any blame, but just I would not vote for Beltran. I feel very similarly to him that I as I do the steroid players.
Yeah,
If
I mean,
if he, if he's wearing a Royals cap on his placard, I'll be okay with it.
I mean, you said he almost. I mean, he played for the Mets longer, but only by like 45 games. He
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
I mean, his Mets were his best years, but pretty close. I think Beltran should get in. I think I mean same thing I've said. Maybe I just really have a thing for good defensive center fielders because Andrew Jones, Story Hunter, Beltran, Lofton. Maybe that's my axe to grind. Is I just want more center fielders in the Hall of Fame. But he was clearly one of the best players of his era. I don't see why he wouldn't get in. And like, I understand he was the mastermind of that. He stole the signs. Well, from at least to start off he stole the signs legitimately. It's just eventually after he was so good at stealing the signs, they then started using a camera in center field that he had an easier look at the catcher. And but he's the one like figured out the sign stealing and all of that, and then he just relayed it, and someone else bashed the trash can. But
yeah, but yeah, I kind of agree. I would agree with Dan, honestly. Like, I would feel better about like Altuve. He hated the cheating scandal. Like, okay, you can say that you don't believe that, and like the buzzer, okay. I mean, my opinion is I believe him. Honestly, he hated it. Like Altuve was
Oh, I
benefited
never
from it.
wanted to cheat. I was against
Like, you
it.
can
Oh,
no,
rats.
there's videos where you can see where like during his at
he gets
bats
visibly
he
angry.
could you could hit you hear the trash can and then he looks at the dugout and like glares at them and then they stop. Like,
And I
I
think
mean, I get it. He still benefited from it and like his stats are boosted and I agree with that. But he was not, and he was complicit with it. But he wasn't orchestrating it. He wasn't, you know. I guess I don't know if it makes sense, but like Beltran was involved in creating it. Altuve was not. Like, you decide how much blame Altuve should get in the whole thing, but Altuve was against it. Like,
Right. I mean, the reality, the players, the players are going to steal sign. Hinch should have squashed it day one
he should
as the
have. Yeah.
manager. Like, and
Mhm.
there's a reason, I guess, when he was, I think it was in San Diego before he came there, and he got steamrolled as like a first time manager. He
He was
was new to Houston then, so he was trying to like get on so that he didn't lose the clubhouse in his first year, which had happened in his previous clubhouse. But it is absolutely on AJ Hinch that sign stealing scandal went any farther than game two.
like, yeah. I mean, I feel like that's part of a different conversation. Like, yeah, Hinch should have stopped it. Also, but like I get why he didn't. He wanted to keep his job. He has a family. He, I
But the
mean, if
irony
he'd
is
gone
he
up
didn't
to
keep his job,
Exactly.
and he
yeah,
got
like
suspended for a year.
yeah, but like I mean, if he had gone up, it's a different conversation. I know we're gonna have to, and I'm not trying to be like, and I get it. Okay, if Hinch had gone up to the Astros executives or ownership or whatever, it'd be like, hey, all of your star players are cheating, and I want to stop them, make them stop. They would have been like, you're fired, and he would be blacklisted, basically, because like, who is more valuable, the manager
Mm,
or the MVP?
I don't think because like if he's fired that way, like he will whistle blow. I
he
understand,
would
but
have.
like
He
ESPN
would.
would pick that up. I understand he'd be blacklisted from baseball, but Jose Canseco was blacklisted from baseball, and he was much more well known after he was a player.
No, no, because I think Rob Manfred would have given him a gold star for telling the truth.
Uh huh.
Yep,
Manfred
that's
maybe
what
would have
would have
given him a
happened.
job at Major League Baseball after the fact for his
I think that's more likely.
yeah.
That would what would have happened. But
We don't know. I think that's a very interesting way to think about it, though, Lee, is that like it had to play out this way. Like there's no other way for like this was Hinch's best path. Like Like for his own livelihood, this was his best path because if he whistle blows, then he gets blacklisted, and then he ends up working for Uncle Rob for less for however
Yeah.
long.
So like,
But like this
yeah, like
way,
I get
he
it.
did his time, so to speak, and now he's the manager of the Tigers.
Yeah.
And in some ways, he's kind of respected still. I don't know.
Okay, so
I
here's because
I
like he
think that
suffered
is
through those
incredibly
Tigers years
charitable.
for 3 years. Those teams are awful. But okay, this is a weird comparison. Okay, so I've done taking classes on like research ethics and stuff like that for for microbiology research, right? And there's a lot of conversation of, oh, you are a grad student working in a lab. The PI is doing something unethical. How do you report them and stuff? A lot of things like that. And the moral thing is, yes, you should report them because it's unethical. Blah blah blah. There's also, if you're in that situation, it's in your best interest to not say anything because you want to keep your job. You're not in a position of power. And I guess that's how I'm kind of thinking on it, which it doesn't really make any sense. But like the analogy is kind of
It's
like,
tough.
Do you watch the rehearsal, Lee?
no, I do not.
The Nathan Fielder show? Well, that's basically what you're describing the second season of, is it's about pilots and co-pilots and the same thing. So that was a subject that Nathan Fielder decided to make an entire season of television about.
I guess my point is, yes, morally the correct thing is to speak out and get it stopped, but also selfishly, it's going to hurt you even though you did nothing wrong. If that makes
And it's
sense.
weird because it's in sports in particular. Obviously, the manager or the coach or whoever, they're the authority figure in this scenario. But it's the players who get paid way more and are viewed in such a way that they produce more benefit to the team than the manager does, which isn't typically the way other organizations view themselves. So it's topsy turvy in that way too, where I think different. I don't want to say different rules apply because that's not true. The ethical thing is to report it, but it gets more complicated than that. And I'm
Well,
not saying
also
what Hinch
in
did was right, but I can rationalize it.
Exactly.
also
That's my take on
baseball
it.
is the sport where the coach slash manager means the least.
Sure.
But this is
Yeah,
the
like
kind of thing that he does matter for is like culture and tone setting and
I was
that kind
about
of
to say,
thing.
like,
So
it's a leadership position, and you can say if it's about sport. I disagree with all of this, like, but like not with all. I get like
that's all
not.
right. Go off.
I think like you're in a leadership position. You are literally the manager of the team. If you cannot stop your team from cheating en masse, you suck as a leader and you should not be in your position. And if you can't stop it and you go up to your GM and he says, "Well, buddy, you're fired for telling me about this," guess what? He will then whistleblow and MLB will have like, I think it's a very sad excuse to be like, well, I'm just a poor manager. I can't control these players. It's only my job to manage the major league club. I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah,
So
no, I agree with you, Eric. The ooh woo, I can't do anything excuse is one of the lamest that exists in society.
so I'll say if you want to be an actual leader and you want to be Eric, you're 1,000% right. I think that that's the right moral stance decision that a person of good character and leadership would make. I can just rationalize what Hinch did. That's all.
Sure. I'm not saying it would
yeah.
be easy, but like
Yeah. No, it's
you're in
not.
that
That's what
spot
makes
to
it good
make that
leadership.
tough decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of talking myself over and over again. Like morally, it was not the right thing to do, but like I mean, I get it. I get why you didn't
And
say
is
anything.
it the kind of thing that perhaps when a team doesn't make a big move at the trade deadline, maybe he's not the type of manager then that is able to lead a team who feels a little bit disenchanted with their chances and decides to blow a 15.5 game lead.
Oh wow, look at that. Maybe we should move on from this conversation.
No,
Not unfortunately.
I obviously I'm poking a bear here on, but I'm kind of being serious. Like, is he the best kind of like
I think he's
at
very, and I
rallying the
don't know what he
troops?
is to hold a
You
clubhouse,
know,
but you're also talking to a guy who thinks, I mean, we just said it, the manager means the least in all the professional sports. I think that is funny. I don't think I think the Tigers just played like garbage for a month, and
Yeah,
Cleveland
honestly.
played like the best team in baseball for a month.
We got really off track, and I
Yeah,
apologize
I
for
will.
starting
My AJ Hinch defense stick can come later, but
that.
no, I'm a pretty big AJ Hinch fan. Not gonna lie. At the time, I didn't like the hiring because I didn't want to hire the guy who had just been involved in a massive cheating scandal, and I'm like, but I've warmed up to him. That's a different conversation. We've gotten very off track.
All
We
right,
can have this conversation at a different time.
so to put a bow on it, I don't need individual names, but certainly list them if you would like. How many are getting in from this list, Lee,
This year or overall?
this year?
This year, I'm gonna go with two.
Dan.
I'm sorry, I'm going to be pedantic. How many do I think are getting in, or how many do I think I would vote for?
Why not both?
Three are going to get in: Beltran, Jones, Hamels. I would vote for, dramatic pause, Bobby Abreu,
Yep.
Francisco Rodriguez,
Yep.
Cole Hamels,
Hmm.
Felix Rodriguez, Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley. That's who I would vote for. I I grappled with Shin-Soo Choo, Edwin Encarnacion, and Andy Pettit. And I know Pettit was a steroid guy, but he admitted to it and owned it. And therefore, I'm willing to do that. So,
I would add
but
in
ultimately, I
Jimmy.
didn't put him on the ballot anyway. Abreu, K Rod, Hamels, Hernandez, Rollins, Utley. Lots of Philly guys.
I was about to say, I'd add in Pedroia. I'd add in. I would vote for Pettit. I'd add in Pedroia and then add in Jimmy Rollins, who I think was a bit of an underrated shortstop, second baseman. Like, again, another Philly guy. Sam.
Yeah, I think two are getting in, Beltran and Jones. I would vote for those two. I'd vote for Felix Hernandez. I would vote for Mark Burley. I'd vote for Francisco Rodriguez. I'd probably vote for Cole Hamels, and of
Yeah.
course Alex Gordon. I do think Cole Hamels might get. I'll give Cole Hamels like a 51% chance of getting in. Probably not this year, but I think eventually he will get in later down the road.
I think two gets in. Beltron and actually I go three. Beltron, Jones, and I do think Cole Hammonds will get in just because I do think he's the best pitcher on this list, and if you believe in a first ballot,
I just
people.
don't think he's a first ballot guy.
Yeah, that's always in. I mean, same thing with Joe Mauer. You could say this. I mean, sure. Once you're in, it doesn't really matter though.
No.
But yeah, it is what it is. I would probably run out of slots if I was actually because like they can only vote for 10. I would vote for 10. Beltran, Jones, Utley, Arod, Manny, Pettit, Fernandez, Abreu, Pedroia, Hamels. I mean, I don't even have time to put Torrey Hunter on, who breaks my heart. I'd be dropping off of my list, but yeah, we'll see. Big talk over probably no one getting in this year.
Mm-hmm.
But Andrew Jones, you're 9% away. 2 more
Andrew
years.
Jones should get in, I think.
I think he should have waited a long time ago, but I've already said that. And then we talked about Nick Lofton accidentally.
Did we?
Well, you got a shout out. So, all right, next up. Well, this is just kind of in any random order. If anyone desperately passionate to talk about their very big, impactful minor league or near minor league signings. If not, I can go on about the Twins because it's feeling very eerie in Minnesota, and it's not sitting right in my stomach.
But hey, they're not going to trade Byron Buxton.
Hey, that's reassuring. Yeah, Buxton has kind of come off of he hasn't come off. There's been a couple of reports that if the Twins continue to tear down, Byron would reconsider the no trade clause, which would make sense. He has not told the team that. It's one of those sources closest to Byron have said his willingness to blank. Take with that what you will. What really kind of added some fuel is Jeff Passan also had like a report pretty like a week ago. So there's been two reports that have been in the last couple of weeks. It's basically the same thing though. Like they're two different reports, but they're basically the same report. Jeff Passan picked it up, and Jeff Passan knows more about baseball than any of us combined, and probably will forget more than we will ever know. We'll see. I don't blame Byron if he wants to be traded. It would suck. I don't know who would be like the face of the team. I guess that wouldn't matter for the next couple of years, but I genuinely hope he retires a Twin. He has a chance to do that. He's 32. He has 3 years left on his contract. It's a full no trade clause for those 3 years. It can happen, but we'll see. The other news is the Twins are also not looking to trade Joe Ryan and Pablo Lopez, which is good news. It makes you wonder. You were not good with those two last year. Lopez was injured for quite a bit. What you need to add to this roster if you're going to be competitive. You cannot just roll out the same team last year plus a healthy Pablo Lopez and expect things to just be better. If that is your hope, the rotation might be decent. They have like 8 or 9 starters deep, like options. You can debate over the quality of those starter options because after you don't know what you're getting after Bailey Ober is a huge question mark because he had a terrible year last year. Zebby Matthews has not looked good. David Festa has been injured. Mick Abel was traded with the Phillies and got destroyed in the major. Taj Bradley, kind of the same thing. They have a couple guys in AAA that they could maybe pull in. Their bullpen is much worse to the point where if they're not going to add significant pieces to the bullpen, you're going to be adding on like a Connor Prelip, who I talked about last year, who they protected from the Rule 5, and Mick Abel, Taj Bradley, Zebby Matthews, David Festa, a couple of prospects. That's just the plan for the bullpen going to the start of the year. And I'm not saying those guys can't all be good bullpen options, but if you just traded Joan Duran for Mick Abel as a starter and then said the next year, just kidding, he's a reliever, maybe you didn't get the best guy. Who knows? And then this last point, it's just Twins ownership. They're bringing in these minority owners. And at the end of the season, I went on a long rant that Derek Falvey stood in front of a mic and said, I don't know what the payroll is going to be this year. I'm going to need to talk to ownership. But don't worry, it's still the World Series. We have time to figure that out. A month went by, and they asked him that question again. And he said, well, it's November. We still don't really have a clear idea because we haven't passed the new minority owners yet. But don't worry, we'll figure out something by the winter meetings. And what's happening on Monday? Oh shoot, it's the winter meetings. And Derek Falvey hasn't been in a microphone, but he will be on Monday, and it'll be very interesting to see what his answers are because there has not been any news about any ownership group since they announced the minority partners. They have not. There's not even been like speculative names. And that's something that they're going to keep under wraps. But there has been nothing. And they said this will likely be resolved by the owners' meetings, which was 2 weeks ago. And it has been crickets. Where are these minority owners? If Derek Falvey seriously does not know what his budget going into next year is, by this point, because they're waiting on these minority owners, that's frankly pathetic. Also, that's not true. These people can text. They have an idea when they're approved what they want to chip in for payroll.
But Eric, surely the Minnesota Twins are going to be trying just as hard as every other team to win.
Yep.
They're going to
Right,
be
Eric?
competitive.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
That's why it doesn't seem. Eric, you're not going to like this. they should trade Lopez and Ryan. Like this season isn't going to go well. I'm sorry to say it, but I think it's true. Why are we holding on to these guys? Bill, I've been on the train that the Twins need to go full rebuild for a while now. I just don't see why that wouldn't be the logical thing to do. Other than the fact that you maybe don't trust this front office to make trades to get the things back for those guys, in which case you're just overall not in a good place regardless,
It's
right?
too late for that because
because
it's already
Yeah.
traded
because
away.
owners and front offices always think that they can like be in this mid ground, between winning and rebuilding, and it never works out.
No, it doesn't.
What I don't
Until we
understand
until
is
we hear otherwise.
Dan, I agree with you in that as constructed, I've said this multiple times, this is the worst roster in the American League. And that's because I haven't really looked at what the Rockies have done in the last month. So maybe they're the worst team in baseball. I don't know. If you were just status quo, that doesn't do anything. You need status quo is fine, but then you need to invest in a functioning bullpen and probably one, but probably two at bats that can give you a 750 to an 800 OPS. Then you can at least, that team gives you hope. Then you can add on, then you can just hope on things just going right. Because if you don't do that, you don't sign a Josh Bell, Cody Clemens is your first baseman. That is not exactly what any team is going to sign up for, is Cody Clemens as your first baseman. They can look at, look at all of our farm system. We have Walker Jenkins and Emmanuel Rodriguez and Luke Keeschel just graduated. If you're banking on first or second year players to carry your franchise over the next year, that's a bad plan. They can at least go back to AAA for a couple of weeks, get starters that can do something, and then when some of them fail, then you can call them up. But if the day one plan are these rookies, a lot has to go right, and that's almost too much has to go right for you to even squint to be good.
I just look
Until
at it and
proven
I see
otherwise, I'm not convinced that the minority owners aren't just Joe Polad with a trench coat and fake glasses, mustache.
With even more debt. And that's what it's like
Yes,
bad
it is I, Poe Jolad.
Oh, yeah, great. Well, what's also interesting is like, if anybody remembers when they announced the new ownership is coming in, they basically said like, yeah, we're going to pay down it wasn't, we're going to reinvest in the teams. Oh, we're going to pay off this debt. Like, brother, my credit card bills are way too high right now. And like, they're speculating that they have to pay $50 million a year in interest
Oh, what? Where did they
on
get
a
all
half
this
a
interest from?
Yikes.
billion dollars in debt.
Oh my god, that's
A
so
lot
bad.
makes sense in the last couple of months when you have to carry $500,000 in debt. Like it's pretty rough.
Eric, I don't mean to be rude.
Liar.
Sometimes when you're talking about the Twins and the situation they're in, I have one of those moments in my life where I just think to myself, I'm so glad it's not me.
It's not me.
Like I'm so glad this isn't me talking about this.
Well, I guess I'll bear that cross because I will still watch this team for some stupid reason. They're gonna really challenge that though, but it does seem like it's almost getting absurd to the level of incompetence. And every fan base says their ownership, their GM, their manager, they're all garbage. They're the worst. They couldn't coach Pee Wee, blah 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 blah. But then you look at like you start peeling back the Twins, and it's like, oh, this is bad. And you look up that level of rot, and you're like, ooh, that's down a couple more inches. And you clear those floorboards, and then you realize there's like no house underneath the floor. Like there's just nothing, and it's really sad. Like the state of the franchise, because in the last 3 years, ownership has failed, front office has failed, players have failed, player development has failed. It has been full system, like everything has combusted at the same time. So then what do you do other than like, well, I hope that was really bad luck for the last 3 years?
I think you're hitting on something. I'm thinking about it slightly differently. When you talk about those other ownership groups, those other front offices, typically there's a thing that they do well.
Yeah.
Most of them. I think the Angels are probably the other one I could think of that's probably not true. But like most of the time, like the Guardians, oh, the Dolans are cheap. Yeah, but they hire really good people that do their jobs really well. Um, depending on where you're at, you have some sort of strength. I always rip on Steve Cohen. The guy spends millions, billions, and billions of dollars. There's value in that. The what thing does that front office and ownership in Minnesota do well?
Well,
Is there a thing they do well?
it's
Drafting injured
really
players.
it's really difficult to judge because when you build your roster with an expected payroll of 160 and growing, and you sign Carlos Correa and extend Pablo Lopez and Byron Buxton, and you actually fill up that $160 million payroll, and then you win a playoff series, and then ownership's just kidding, it needs to be 130, and then the next year after that, you're cutting another 30. Like they've cut almost $70 million off of the payroll in 2 years. It's really difficult to look at the front off and be like, are you bad or were you just given an incredible curveball that no one could have succeeded in? And then also, this batch of prospects didn't work out. Because when you can't make a decision, it's really hard when you can't make an impactful decision past signing Carlos Santana. And Carlos Santana had a really nice year. Harrison Bader had a really nice year. Those are not, those should not be viewed as impact best signings of the free agent that year.
Or supplemental? Yeah.
Right. They should be a secondary sign. That's just been it. So, like, it's hard to judge Falvey, even though I don't think he should get a lot of praise because he did choose. He could have done something. If you can't sign players, your payroll's going down. You still could have decided to trade a Royce Lewis back when he had trade value. You could have looked to trade at Joe Ryan before it became like a financial thing. Like you could have shaken up that core. You just chose to do nothing in the hopes of Edouard Julien and Jose Miranda are going to turn it around. And they just didn't. Oh, it's difficult. But what do they do well? Pretend that they're not lying to the fan base, I guess. Like
Putting on a
everything you've
brave
told me, they're
face.
not very good at PR either. So
oh my god, I don't even. I think that's really like it's not the most frustrating part of it, but it's almost insulting. I don't know what the payroll's going to be. I need to talk to ownership, and you're saying that for 3 straight months. Get the f out of here.
I thought they
Like,
were going to have a meeting about that.
right, just anyway. I should stop talking about it. I've gone on too long about the Twins who made a minor league signing. We'll talk about them in a bit when we talk about the draft. But any other Lee Tigers made some signings,
Yeah, they did something all right.
and they're like interested in half of the league, which
Yeah.
should give you some hope that they're going to sign at least a couple impact free agents.
I hope so. Let's see. Although the interest in Ketel Marte, I don't know what they would do with him. So that seems kind of like fake news to me. But we signed, what's his face again?
Just to go off that, while you're looking to signing what's his face,
Right.
so MLB trade rumors. If you look at the Tigers page, it's all Tigers have interest in name insert, B market player. Kettle Marte, Zach Gallen, Alex Bregman, Michael King, basically
Mitch Keller.
$20 to $30 million
Yeah.
players. The Bregman to me is really, I guess, like not exciting. Not that I believe they're necessarily going to sign him, but that likely means they're ready to add $30 million on top of what they already have. That's got to be encouraging.
Yeah, but there's also reports of, they're still interested in trading Tarek Skubal, and they're definitely going to trade him at the winter meetings. So, yeah.
Where'd you think they were going to get the 30 million from?
Duh. You're so
Just kidding.
right.
So anyway, for their signings, they signed Drew Anderson. That's a start. Oop, I do not have the right screen up. Now I do. So Drew Anderson, he's an old
Yeah.
name. Has been playing. If you look at the bottom of the screen here, this is actually what he's been doing since 2023. He's been playing in Korea and Japan. Decent year. It's also really hard for me to tell like what a good strikeout to K rate is in the international leagues because I sure as hell don't know about Korean baseball or Japanese baseball. He had a good ERA. His percentiles and his picks Mitch from 2021 might not be too helpful, but I can tell you his fastball in 2021 was almost 93.
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, we're not going to actually use him as a starter, and he's going to be a relief pitcher. Because I would like to sign a better starter than Drew Anderson, who sounds like a fake name and has been playing in Korea for the past 2 years. So this is not the most exciting signing in the world.
No, it's
I
really
don't
not.
think any
This
of
is
us like
depth.
this.
This
Yeah.
this could be Randy Dobnak. It's that level of player, like someone who's probably not going to go. Is it Omaha? Is that the AAA?
What, the Tigers?
Yes,
It's Toledo.
Toledo.
Omaha is Kansas City.
He's probably going to be in Toledo all year, and if you do see him, it's probably not going great for the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on the Tigers?
Not really. Just no idea what they're gonna do. They're probably gonna be adding bullpen at the winter meetings. Probably not. I would be surprised if they took anyone on the Rule 5 because I don't think we need to upgrade, right? And I don't think you're gonna really get a lot of that out of the Rule 5 draft right now, except for maybe a pitcher. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but it's just right now. It's just they're connected with these 17 players that they're probably going to sign 0.5 of them. So
Just half of Alex Bregman. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Would you want the bottom half or the top half?
we'll go with the bottom half.
Just legs. All right. Why not?
just legs.
runner.
I don't know if I
he'll
want
be-
Bregman for his speed.
I think we just learned something about Lee, guys.
No, you did it. Oh, shut up.
Tear
just
Scooble
learned
and then tight pants. No wonder Lee's.
No, you have not learned anything about me. I don't know. But yeah, I no idea what the Tigers are going to do. Probably sign some 38-year-old reliever.
Yeah, we'll see. It looks like they're going to add someone of substance, though. Which that in itself.
Let's hope, yes.
There's
They're
only so many.
connected with us, at least.
You can't be tied to like 10 different prominent names and not end up with one of them, you would think.
Oh, yes, you can.
Unless your name is Kansas City.
Or Toronto. But Toronto's
Hey, Toronto's getting names now. God
Yeah.
dang it. One World
But
Series.
hey, George Springer was seen at the Toronto practice facility or whatever, which is just Shohei Ohtani on a plane to Toronto all over again.
Right.
Ooh.
So
All right, Cleveland signed a guy. Don't know who he is, but
They sure did.
here he is from
Connor
2025.
So I found this move, not so much the move in and of itself on its face, but the timing of this move to me is perplexing. Connor Brogdon is a decent right-handed relief pitcher. He throws pretty hard. He's a tall, big dude. There is stuff there that I go, yeah, the Guardians can make something out of that guy. But what I don't understand is over the last 3 MLB seasons, Connor Brogdon has a 5.70 ERA combined. You could go, oh, maybe that's bad luck. Well, his FIP is 5.94. It's even worse. I can totally understand. That's what the Guardians do. They make something out of guys like this with good stuff and some potential. But to sign a 31-year-old with those numbers over the last 3 years, at this point, my point I think I'm trying to make is they could have signed Connor Brogdon or somebody like him 4 days before spring training started. It is concerning to me that this signing was enough of a priority to make it today, or not today, but in the last week. I don't understand that.
I mean,
I find it very
it's
confusing.
barely over league minimum. It's like 900,000 with some
He's making
incentives, right?
so. Alternatively, I say all these things, and like you said, he's making $900,000, and he's not even to arbitration yet. He'll be ARB eligible next year. He doesn't have any options though. So he's a major leaguer. He's got to get claimed through
Yep.
waiver, or he's going to have to go through waivers. Um, I felt very, very similarly about Ben Lively 2 years ago,
Mm.
who ended up working out quite well for the Guardians. He ended up starting a bunch of games in 2024 and then getting hurt last year, but ended up being a very good success story. Like spitting image situation. Lively had gone to Korea. That's not the case here with Brogdon, but he was a guy that hadn't even hit ARB yet. They paid like 900,000 $1 million for a year's service, and I thought at the time would be like a swing man, both in terms of starter and bullpen, but also AAA and the majors. So they've done this kind of thing before and it's been successful. It's just odd to me that we decided to make this move at the start of December when shouldn't you guys be looking for like a center fielder or something? Why are we doing this right now? Like that's what my trepidation about is all this.
They're
I
No.
just
hope Brogdon
saving
works
up
out.
to pay Kyle Tucker, obviously.
Yeah. They could use the bullpen depth. I know that. I'd rather have a guy that moves Kate Smith back out of the closer's role, but they need bodies in that bullpen, particularly now that Zach Kent was claimed off waivers a
Yep.
couple days ago. But I just that's right. Isn't there other things that we should be focusing on December 7th other than this signing? Like, shouldn't you guys be looking for some larger moves? And I do think that if those moves come, it's probably going to be via trade, just seeing how things are going in the market. I'll be curious and seeing that we really haven't been attached to any names in free agency thus far. But they've got some things to trade, and we'll see how it goes.
So not if you let's take this back a decade when he was drafted. Oh, I guess it almost was a decade. God, 2017 was almost a decade ago. God dang it, that's terrible.
Mhm.
Anyway,
Can I can I pull on that for 1 second? When we were doing the Hall of Fame thing, Eric, I think you and I hopefully can relate to each other on this. We're getting to the point where those players are. You're talking about like the Hall of Very Good.
yep,
They're players. I'm like, oh, I remember that guy. He was a good ball player.
yep.
And like I'm getting to that point in my life now where that's more and more of a thing through my own eyes and ears. Sorry to deviate us,
No,
but
it's,
I
you know
wanted to
what
say
I
that earlier
just to
and
go
forgot
off of
about
that
it.
point. Do you know what I just thought of? I think it was either today or yesterday. We're entering an era where Hall of Famers, their entire career is going to be on Statcast. We're not that far away
Yeah,
from it.
Mm.
that's cool actually.
Dang,
I like that.
that's pretty
Like
cool.
2015 was like the first year of Statcast, and like Byron Buxton debuted in 2014. I think Ramirez was 2013. It's basic. Like we're almost
The
there, which is
first,
kind of cool.
so you got to play 10 years to get on the ballot, and you have to wait 5 years to be on the ballot. The first class that could reach that criteria would be 2030.
Yep. So which don't know what
Hey,
that class looks like. I'm going to assume everyone over 60 will be unimpressed because, whatever. But just so if we look at Connor Brogdon and you draft him at 20, he's a very Guardians player. He's from a small college in Idaho, 6'6", big fastball. And if you want to include the Angels as maybe not the most, we'll say, organized, best coached staff. I kind of view this as like, what do the Guardians see? It's probably going to be a Pixmitch thing, but then you look at his pitches. He throws a four seam, a changeup, and a cutter. He throws two fastballs and a changeup.
I'm
I'm
going to teach him to
wondering.
spin something, Eric.
Well, that's what I'm
Probably
wondering
a
too,
slider.
because like they have to see something in an arm angle, or there's something that they're seeing. He's going to show up to spring training, and now he's throwing a sweeper, or he's throwing something else. And if he doesn't throw it well, they're going to cut him.
Yeah, and I will say it's a low cost situation. It's $900,000. I get the move. I understand logically why they would want to make this move. I can see Carl Willis somewhere doing the Birdman rubbing his hands together thing. But at the same time, why are we doing this now? That's the only thing I keep coming back to. Um, but I hope he works out, and I think he has the potential to. They've, done this with other guys. Aniel De Los Santos a couple years ago was a guy that they really got a good 2 years out of. Very similarly. Lively's another one. So, I don't need to go over the resume here. It's pretty well known at this point. But I'd rather they be looking at some other impact players at this point in time.
I did also see Cedric Nolan signed with the signed or
Rays.
yeah, with the
I
Rays.
didn't see that one. I didn't even see that had happened.
Yeah.
But he went,
Yeah. Mullins
but it
signed a
was with the
1-year
Rays,
deal.
which means he was totally probably in the cost, in the cost bracket.
It was
Which
like
is
1 year, 7 million.
all
Yeah,
right.
it was
Well, that's
under 10
disappointing.
million.
Yeah.
Is what it was very much a Guardians price. So I have
That
a
was
feeling.
we paid that for Paul Sewald last year. So I'm actually a little bit. Instead, we went and got Connor Brogdon.
To be fair, they have to pay a minimum salary anyway. So like they already had all but 100,000 of Connor Brogdon paid for.
Guys, the
They
last
got their
5 minutes have
guy.
been a roller coaster. I was just explaining how I felt about Connor Brogdon. Then Eric made me feel a little bit better. Then I found out that Cedric Mullins signed. So I'm
That's
in a
the
glass
worst
Hey,
case
that
part of
might
it.
not be
situation.
a bad thing, Dan.
That's true.
And you know what? Mullins is what on the other side of 30 now as a center
Hmm.
fielder. Had a poor second half last year. There's some Michael Bourne there. That was a mistake the Guardians made 12 years ago. They signed Michael Bourne, and that did not work out. So um, it still would be nice. I try not to fall into the whole thing of kind of the catharsis of actually making moves for the sake of it, but it would be nice to see them doing something.
Hmm.
Get ready to learn Jesse Winker or whoever.
Thanks.
All right, Sam, anyone for the Royals?
Pretty quiet here. Pretty quiet here on the western front of the AL Central. Um, some continued rumblings about Kansas City's the most western team in this. Anyway, uh, continued rumblings about the Royals potentially trading a starter for an outfielder. Some rumors that the Red Sox want Cole Reagans. So let's break that down. Number one, no.
All right, that's it.
No, sorry. Not doing that. But if we were to play, let's play in this space for a moment here. Cole Reagans is the best pitcher that the Royals have had in 15 years. Best pitcher since Zach Greinke, I would say. Legit Cy Young candidate. And he is someone who was just like a gift from you got an animal
I
running
was going to say,
behind
I
your
thought that
house,
was a
Lee.
bear for a second. I'm so glad you saw that because Lee, over your
I thought so.
shoulder, it's a dog. It was on a leash,
Yeah.
but it looked
Yeah.
like a bear cub. Like
Oh, no,
when
there's-
Yeah,
it
it
came
did.
on.
It did.
Yeah, yesterday when I came in my room and I look out the window and I'm like, wait, is that a bear? But no, that's the dog. That's
If you're watching on YouTube, play that back. Go back like 45 seconds. You'll see what we're talking about. There's a dog that walks through
Oh, I
Yeah.
guarantee
Lee's window.
all of the eyes went to it because it went from static and then in Lee's background, it's snow and nothing else. And you just see this furry thing, like just look like it's about to come up and lick Lee's ear through the window. And then it just walks away.
Yeah.
Anyway, Cole Reagan's not going
anyway.
to Boston.
Cole Reagans was basically like a gift from the baseball gods that the Royals, the baseball gods said, here you go. Here's the best pitcher you've had in a decade and a half. We got Cole Reagans in exchange for half a year of Aroldis Chapman. So if the Royals were to trade him, it would have to be an amount of money or it would have to be similar to what the Royals got in exchange for Zach Greinke, who's the previous best pitcher that the Royals had. And do you know what the Royals got for Zach Greinke when they traded him?
Lorenzo
Because
Cain.
Lorenzo Cain, and
It was another person on that Hall of Fame or that World
it
Series
was
team too.
it was Alcides Escobar.
There it is.
So when the Royals traded Zach Greinke, they got Lorenzo Cain and Alcides Escobar. So that's what you need if you're going to trade Cole Reagans.
Like literally those
So-
two, because that could probably happen.
Done.
Well, metaphorically,
Yeah.
the Royals are going to need some pretty big pieces from the Red Sox. So that trade better include Roman Anthony and a top prospect. And I don't think the Red Sox are doing that. So sounds like that ain't happening. Sounds like these talks between the Royals and the Red Sox are kind of a non-starter because the Royals want one thing and sounds like the Red Sox want a different thing. So I wouldn't trade Cole Reagans unless it was the most like sweetheart deal possible.
Right. I know the Twins. So Reagan's has how many years of team control? 2, 3.
He's 2 more years and then I think a year of arbitration. So he's under contract or under control for 3 years.
So I know because Boston also was talking to the Twins about Joe Ryan, and I think the conversation began and ended with Jaron Duran or Duran.
Mm-hmm.
If that is the police return back, still no.
I think it would have to be Duran and something. It would have to be for Reagan's at the very least. I think Bubich for like Wilyer Abreu. I think that would be a pretty good trade, something that I would be interested in. But I think the Red Sox, they signed Sonny Gray, but I think now they want a number one top of the line
Right.
ace. And if they want Cole Reagans, then they better be willing to part ways with some pretty significant pieces.
Yeah.
They've already traded their one prospect, the password. What's his face? Garcia. So, it's his first name is something ridiculous that I can't pronounce. So his nickname is the password.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
You know what I'm talking
It's
about. They already traded
John and then a bunch of letters.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a Cole Reagans trade has to include Roman Anthony. And that's where it starts and stops for me.
I think if he has 3 years of team control, I can buy it. I think if it's under 2 years, or if it's 2 years or under, we'll see. I mean, it's kind of a different discussion, but
But anyway, there's that. And then also, it wouldn't make sense because would be a real sell low move for the Royals just because Reagans is coming off injury.
sure.
And this is not a moment where I think you would necessarily trade a guy like that. Anyway, so there's that. And then also there's some stadium talk. Apparently, Kansas state legislators have a self-imposed December 31 deadline to hear a stadium proposal from the Royals. The Royals were supposed to make a decision on the stadium. They said mid 2025.
What's the decision? Yes, we want one. There's the decision. Like, why is that difficult?
Are they deciding what state it's going to be in? Like, what's the?
They're deciding what state it's going to be in. They're deciding specifically where they want it to be. They're trying to hold out for Missouri to make a some type of deal. It's a whole lot of things. Basically, so last year, midway through the year, the Kansas state legislature approved some star bonds to attract a professional sports team to the state of Kansas, which we all know what that was code for. So the Kansas is willing to, pony up. So we'll see what happens, but apparently they have a deadline of December 31st to hear a pitch from the Royals, which apparently hasn't happened yet. So stadium saga continues over here. I don't think that there's going to be much news on that. This has been a very slow moving train. Lease goes through the 2030 season for the Royals. Mm-hmm. So there's still some time, but I think that we need to get things moving on that front.
Well, it's going to take them 2 years to build the thing, and it's going to take a couple years before that just to finance it. So you're right. There needs to be Someone needs to
Yeah.
sign some type of legal document saying where this.
If they're if they want to be in a new stadium, you know, if they
2030.
want a new stadium before the lease ends, then we better
Yeah.
we gotta pick up the pace here. If that's otherwise, you're going to be signing like 1 year deals on Kauffman Stadium, and I don't think that's going to get very messy if that
Yeah.
happens. So
I
we'll see what happens, but
I'm so glad the Twins got Target Field. 'Cause it was going from the Metrodome, like what even when it debuted in like 1983, almost instantly. I mean, it was a different owner then, but he hated it because it was clearly not meant for baseball. It was clear it was multi-purpose stadium. It was that
you don't say, Eric.
yeah, you don't say the complete white roof and the just your carpet AstroTurf was not meant to be playing baseball. But it was, I think, from like 95 until it was completed in 2010. It was like a 15-year of we're going to Nashville, we're going to contract the team, we're going to do that. We can't blah, blah, blah. We can't do this. Who wants to play in the Metrodome? We can't spend money on this team because look at what we have to play in. Blah.
The
Stadium,
Metrodome was also not a building meant to continue standing.
well,
If we remember when the roof collapsed.
we do. It was great. I mean, just to watch the whole thing. Those who have not watched the maybe maybe at the end of the show, I'll pull up that clip because it is such fun. And also, what's really fun is you see someone on like one of those
Golf
like
cart
carts
type
you see in the
things.
NFL, like when
Yeah.
they're scooting them off the injured player off. It's that cart. You see somebody like just busting as the roof is coming down. Someone on one of these carts at the bottom of the screen going towards the tunnel. Like it's I'm sure it was horrifying at the time for him, but yeah, I'll try to find that clip by the end. It's not very hard to see, so maybe just go find it yourselves if anyone's now curious. So yeah, I don't. Long story short, talking new stadiums suck. Getting new stadiums are awesome.
Well, and I think the thing is, for me, I like Kauffman Stadium. I wish that we would stick around because I think there's a real opportunity to make Kauffman Stadium like the next, old historic
Yeah.
ballpark. The problem is it's not in a very great area, and I don't know if anyone here has ever been there. The area that it's in is a real kind of not great place to be in. There's not a lot to do around the stadiums. There's not a lot of amenities and whatnot. So really, honestly, I think the thing that I've always said is you could take that $2 billion you're going to spend on a stadium and just invest in that surrounding Raytown, Kansas City area, and you could do a lot of good for that community. But no, that's not what's going to
I mean,
happen.
any stadium that they get, it's going to have some aspect of waterfall and the big crown. Like that almost has to be a staple for a new stadium,
Yeah,
doesn't
it's
it?
gotta.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it could happen that they literally take the big crown and just move it to the new
Yeah.
stadium because they spent a lot of money on that, and I don't think that's getting I don't think that's getting torn down. So that might happen, and they might even take the fountains and just move those. It's a whole. We'll see, but
Plus, like the amount of old men who can't no longer point at the crown and say Bo Jackson hit a ball up at like the third point. They can't do that anymore.
You've seen that 30 for 30, Eric?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, but no,
I haven't
Go ahead,
been
Dan.
to all the ballparks in our division. I don't know if any of us have, but so this is all, based on TV and what have you. But what do you guys think is the best stadium in the division? I think it might be Kauffman Stadium, and I don't know.
Aesthetically,
I don't know.
Kaufman looks
Kaufman
very
does look really nice. Let me one thing. Is it the one thing isn't it surrounded by parking lots? I feel like that detracts
Yeah, but we don't
from it
see
a little
that.
bit.
mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I will say Target Field, but it's also the newest. So like
Yeah. I would say Kaufman, then Progressive, then Target. No offense to Comerica.
How
But
dare you?
Comerica fourth.
I see. I think that the Central has just nice stadiums, and I think
Agreed.
if you put them up division for division, I think probably both Centrals punch above their weight in just like
Hmm.
stadium aesthetics, like
Yeah.
how it
Yeah.
looks. So even if
Yeah.
it's third, I still think Comerica I think is could be as a top half. Kaufman is I'm not as high on Progressive, but I think it's fine. Like I don't think it is a bad stadium. I think it's above average, but I'm just obviously I'm biased towards Target Field.
Yeah, I'm biased for Comerica, obviously.
The overarching point there I'm making though is with Sam, like I wish they would just invest in it too. It's maybe the best stadium in of the
It's a good
Yeah.
division, and
stadium.
it's a good stadium for divisions or division for stadiums rather. Sorry, you know what I mean.
Yep. But again, it's the only
Location.
they gotta. Well, it's that, and they want to build more luxury suites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
I
what they
mean,
want to do is they want to put it in a neighborhood with nothing, and then they can buy up all the land and do what the Braves did, and then just have bars and hotels and all of that, so that you get them before and after the game.
Or you do what the Alishes do. Okay, you
Oh, you disconnected your microphone.
yeah, I can't, you can't hear you.
I think yeah.
they could do that in Kauffman Stadium's current location.
But the city would have to give them that land. No,
Um, that's a good question.
I'm
I would
gonna
have
guess
to
that's the holdup, but I don't know that.
I would have to do a deep dive into who owns the land, but honestly, like there is a burnt out Denny's across the highway. There's like an old burned out Cocoa Key water resort that's abandoned. There's a lot of shit right across the street from Kauffman Stadium that's just abandoned buildings.
I'm surprised that's not more of a push for that then.
You know, a Royals water park would somehow make sense.
I,
Yeah, I mean, it would.
I mean, like they could very easily buy up all of the surrounding property.
Do you know this
Or
isn't AL Central related? I hear this because I listen. I'm boring. I listen to talk radio when I'm in, but it's like NPR. Steve Cohen wants to put a casino outside of City Field, like, and he wants to build
Why
in.
not?
Oh, good. Class A doesn't have to walk very far. Fantastic.
You know who the doorman will be. But yeah, that might be a bit too much for me, but whatever. I guess like it's his building. If they're the big debate is are they going to allow Cohen to do it? Is because I think he might have the land. It's just if he can get the licensing to do it. But that's not AL Central
Hold on,
related,
before we move off of that, talk about a conflict of interest.
right?
You own one of the teams. Like,
You're not wrong.
see,
When has
or they
that
could
ever
just do
mattered,
what
Dan?
oh, my closer is currently in a jail cell somewhere, so it does matter apparently, but we pick and choose when and where.
Well, see, here's the thing, Dan. Steve Cohen has more money
I
than
know.
Clase
Steve
and
Oh,
Cohen's
Ortiz.
paid the Security and Exchanges Commission $1 billion before.
Yeah, he
So him
has
paying for
orders
Juan
of
Soto was
magnitude
cheap. I
more
get it.
more money than those guys. So that
I
would
was in a
be
good
that
mood
would.
when this show
wasn't
started,
he
guys. Thank you.
wasn't he selling a golden toilet at auction or something? Or that former owner or
it
something?
seems like there's a lot of billionaires that do really weird things like
I
that.
think that's.
So if it's not him,
I think the person. Well, no, never mind. I'm not going to
I
say
think
that.
and where you're going with that. I think we might have a president who might have a golden toilet. If that's where you were going with, because that's the
Yeah,
name
I
I
was
thought
gonna.
of.
I think.
Oh, Sam froze.
Oh,
There are worse pause
Did he
faces, though.
freeze or
he's been
Oh, they
taken
got
out.
him. Well, free speech isn't free anymore. Anyway, so we should probably get off that point. Well, Sam has. I'm going to take Sam's pause face because I don't think he would appreciate that very much. But there was actually one signing of. I'm not going to say substance, but a multi-year deal. It was the first one in the division. Sam is back. It was the first one in the division. the White Sox signed Anthony Kay, and if you don't remember who that is, because he was a marginal major league reliever, went to go play overseas for 2 years, and apparently did really well. At the bottom of the screen here, I did put in what his stats were in was it the Japanese league. Apparently, he added to his fastball. The surprising thing is a 2 year, $12 million deal for someone coming back from overseas. Someone believes something in Anthony Kay. Before the start of the show, before Ty got lost in the snowbank, he sent us a smoke signal through the blizzard, and he had a couple of notes. He thought that this was very close to the Eric Fedde deal a couple years ago. He had a high walk rate, had control issues, and apparently just gave up, like, had a really high hard hit rate. Ended up going to Korea and then just kind of turned things around. So I'm just going to read this verbatim from Ty. So this is a buy low deal. Chris Getz, the GM, mentioned how he was going to look for arms to support the younger staff and not have them throw their arms out next year. With K, my hope is he can keep his home rate down. And then when we're home and 80 innings with our, I like this, with our quote, improving, end quote, offense. If his track record in Japan is anything to say about, it should keep us in a few more games in 26 and 27. Worst case, he's a stopgap for younger pitchers. I think that's all fair. It does seem like a lot, though, for a returning fringe major leaguer who had 2 good years in Japan.
I think I'm going to keep saying this for the White Sox. Who else are they paying? Why not?
Right.
Yeah. I think I said this in our Discord chat, but it goes to show how good you have to be overseas in order to get a second chance in MLB, because this dude had a 1.79 ERA in 155 innings in Japan this last season. So if that's what it takes, then you gotta get that.
Yeah, the NPB is going through a historic dead ball era. So, like, Trevor Bauer had the league highest qualified ERA for a pitcher at 4.5. Like, that was the highest ERA in the league at 4.5. That's, yeah, so it's a very low scoring league right now. I kind of follow the NPB slightly. It's a long story.
I do want to. I feel like, especially, like, I want to get into, like, the Dominican Winter League. Because apparently they're just nuts. Like, fans are really into it. They're really, like, there's names that, like, Robinson Cano still plays in the Winter Dominican League. Like, that would be really fun just to watch, just on the entertainment value.
I like watching when John Boy does breakdowns of, like, of those, and it's just nuts because then, like, there's just players and then they go in all out brawls, they try to kill each other, and it's like, what the fuck is going on over there? But it does seem very fun. Like, Puig is still doing his thing. And, yeah.
Cano played in the Mexican League this year. Like, the full on, like, so I caught a couple games of their World Series or whatever or their championship series. It was interesting. You gotta listen to it in Spanish, but it was fun time.
Right.
The thing is, it's just hard to find legitimate good streams.
What I don't get, why MLB Network does not just play those. Half of them are major league players anyway, or like affiliated minor league players.
Yeah, I'd have to imagine licensing would be too much. I kind of feel similarly about why don't they play? What does MLB Network show at 6 a.m. as opposed to showing the NPB or KBO?
Right.
Like,
as far as, I mean, Dan, I think ultimately you're right. You can't tell me the KBO is charging top dollar for their product.
And you would think any exposure the KBO could get to this market where the sport originated, they would be. I mean, they did that with COVID in the ES. That was terrible, by the way. That was a morning show that happened to have baseball playing as opposed to actual baseball broadcast. But I digress.
So, like,
hey Netflix, we're giving you free ideas here now that you've bought
starting to do
Warner
baseball.
Brothers.
God,
you joke, but Netflix has the home run derby. They have a Dodgers opening game. They have, I think they have a couple. I think they have the Field of Dream game that the Twins and the Phillies are playing.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about
like,
that.
That's Sam. You joke, but like you have baseball fans that will just watch it. Like you just will. Like you can't tell me that the Mexican League is not just going to be like, yeah, of course we want as many eyeballs as we can. Let's do that.
I mean, we'll take a finder's fee.
Yes. You can get higher TV rights deals, but yeah, I wish they would do more of that. And also,
Rob,
I say that I wonder if this also isn't something like
I just want to watch more baseball. Like, give me more baseball. It's baseball.
I do kind of wonder if this is something that maybe my perceived interest would actually be stronger than my actual interest. Because maybe if they actually put it on, maybe like, okay, that's cool, and then watch 5 games and go and leave. But like, give it a chance. I don't know.
Yeah. So my friends and I, we decided we wanted to get into NPB, and we all were randomly assigned a team to follow and be fans of. And we looked and tried to figure out, like, we have varying degrees in interest of baseball, right? And me and a couple of my friends who were actually really into sports were trying to figure out how to like get merch or like actually stream the games, right? It is incredibly difficult. It's basically impossible. Like you cannot, you need like a Japanese zip code or a credit card in order to be able to like purchase the streaming services and stuff like that for like the Central League, I think it was. And like you can't legitimately buy the merch and have it shipped to the United States. Like you have to go through third party or like get off brand stuff. So we didn't end up doing that because like that gets super expensive. But it's incredibly difficult to actually watch any of these games because they just don't stream it internationally, and you can't.
Japan has weird laws on stuff like that because I know that for a lot of stuff, like if you want merch for specific, Japanese, anime or whatever franchises, you have to have like a third party seller in Japan ship it to you. So there's weird stuff with that.
All I know is I got through the pandemic because of the CPBL, the Taiwanese Baseball League. They had English broadcasters on Twitter. That was phenomenal. I had a really good time in a bad situation. So that's my biggest exposure to foreign leagues, and that was fun. I had a good time. I was a fan of the Rakuten Monkeys for the
funny. Like there is something. I think we talked about this when we were talking.
I still remember their third baseman, Lin Lee. He's probably going to be on the WBC team this year. He's really good. So never made it to this stateside, but shout out to Lin Lee taking it over at third for the Rakuten Monkeys.
It is pretty interesting how the KBO and NPB and the Taiwan League, just the naming scheme, it's like companies who will own it. Yes. It'll say like like Samsung, and like all of those kinds of things. Like, and then the rivalries that develop because of those. Okay, so my NPB team, the Shunichi Dragons, they were originally owned by a newspaper company, and they were rivals with the Giants because they were owned by a rival newspaper company, and so they were. So it's like if like the Cleveland Guardians were owned by the owners of Domino's, and so that's why the Tigers and Guardians were rivals, because it's Little Caesars versus Domino's. It's like the same idea.
Do you know how disappointed I was to find out that the Nippon Ham Fighters, their mascot is just the Fighters, and the owning company is Nippon Ham? I wanted Ham Fighters as the actual just team name, because that's just a funny, like you're just stabbing a pork chop.
Hey, I'll tell you what, if the Royals could get a bigger payroll and they just had to become the Hallmark Royals or the Boulevard Royals or, something along those lines, I'd take it.
I think it's just kind of a naming convention though, right? Like individuals own teams here. The companies own the teams there. Like Kia owns the Kia Tigers and the KBO, if I'm not mistaken, right? Hyundai owns team. Okay.
So guess what animal is the mascot for the Dragons?
A snail.
A snake.
No. You have a guess, Dan?
Nope.
A bear.
A koala. That's their main mascot.
That's close.
Nice. Yeah, you're close.
I needed to specify.
I don't know how to actually say it, but it's spelled Doala. So I think I don't know if it's Dola or Doala, the koala. So, but that's their main mascot. And then they got two dragon mascots. But yeah,
anyway, we have gotten way
That
off
was way
topic.
off track.
Yeah, welcome to the bullshitting portion of the AL Central rundown.
So
Now, the
almost
NPB league is really cool though. So, but I recommend check it out if you're really really into baseball.
So there is like two like minor points, and also we're not overtime. We're a chatty bunch to begin with. I did like before we get online, we're like, I don't know how we're gonna talk for an hour. Oh, what's that? We're an hour 40 right now. So there's two small topics. One I can get off real quick. The Rule 5 draft happens on like Tuesday. We'll see. I think the Twins are going to take at least one player, maybe two. Don't ask me who. I don't know who they are. I won't know who they are until probably a couple hours after they announce it. I'm going to assume we have no huge Rule 5 draft followers here, but it can be exciting, but we're going to have to wait for the picks to come in. The more important, and I guess like only slightly more exciting as far as the Central goes, is the draft lottery. The bottom of the barrel, the White Sox and the Twins have pretty good chances of getting the first pick. The White Sox have a 27% chance to get the first pick. The Twins have a 22% chance. I think the lowest either of those two teams can go is 5. Maybe the Twins can go 6. You might be wondering, didn't you just make fun of the Rockies, who were maybe the worst team in National League history? Yes, but they've been in the lottery back to back for 2 straight years. They're not eligible. If you're in the lottery 2 straight years, you can only pick as high as 10. So if you look, the Rockies, the Nationals, the Angels are all picking 10th and below. The Marlins as well. So that's why they're. So we'll see what happens with that, the draft lottery. There is, now this is way too early and I admit it, there is supposedly a consensus number 1 pick, and I love his name, so I want him to be picked because the Twins and the White Sox are fighting for the Rock. Chowalski. UCLA prospect, I don't know, maybe like a slower Troy Tulowitzki. But that's who they're going for. Other than that, you're looking at Grady Emerson, but also Justin LeBron, I think would just be fun.
Justin LeBron.
There has to be
LeBron
a
needs to be the
LeBron in
first
some
pick.
league.
Jacob Lombard is probably going to be pretty up there, even just because of his name.
Pretty good name.
Because his older brother is drafted, and
Sure. But yeah, these are the names. We'll see. Whoever gets the number 1 pick gets to draft the Rock, and that's exciting. So I hope the Twins get it. We'll see.
Can I go on the draft lottery in baseball is stupid. I think it's silly to have a draft lottery in baseball because I don't think it actually prevents tanking, and it's kind of
No,
I don't
it
know.
was.
It does not.
I think it's good in that it's a step in the. They needed to do this step in order to take further steps. You can't ask. They weren't going to be able to ask teams to spend X amount of money, and that's the real issue. This had to be the first step.
I mean, like last year, the White Sox were the worst team in the history of baseball, and they couldn't draft any lower than 10th. Like, I don't know. I just think that's kind of.
I think that's
silly.
fine though, because what they're doing is if you tank, if you were consistently in the lottery, you can't just keep getting number 1 pick after number 1 pick. You have to show some effort. Because then really what they're saying, you can go back-to-back years. You can't go for a 3rd straight year.
Because then
You
how are
cannot
you
just-
supposed to get better if you can't draft? I don't know.
Because MLB, you're not just you're
MLB.
drafting the best player available, but the bust rate in a first round pick is 50% regardless of where you take them. So it matters as least, but you do lose access to upper echelon Paul Skeens-esque players by being able to draft. But like, I see what you're saying. I don't necessarily disagree with what you're saying, but is it a weak first step? Yes, but at least it's a first step in my mind.
I guess
A
I don't.
journey of 1,000 miles.
I'm not a big fan of draft lotteries in the first place because I'm not unconvinced that the NBA doesn't rig their draft lottery. So
Do you believe there was a frozen envelope?
Yes.
I'm not convinced that there wasn't.
Fair enough.
I mean, let's look at last year with the Mavericks, right? Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
come on.
Sure.
Anyway, I guess that's a bit off topic, but
Yeah.
I
Still.
don't.
yeah,
I don't.
I think the draft lottery is silly.
It doesn't bother me either way. I think Eric's right in the sense that like it's it's not as clear cut what you're going to get from the first pick in baseball anyway to begin with.
That's
And
fair.
also, these drafts are a construct to begin with. The fact that we give the first pick to the worst team in and of itself is just arbitrary in a way. I understand why we do it. We want to create competitive balance, but like you could pick who gets the first pick anyway. You could pick it out of it. Well, they do kind of pick it out of a hat now, but you get my point. Like just because that's the way it's done doesn't always have to be that way, I guess. I'm fine with the lottery. Granted, my team got the first pick
Yeah,
2
that
years
was
ago, but
silly.
Mhm.
We'll go to the ALCS and get the first round. Look at the first overall pick in the same calendar year.
Speaking just of the draft too, this is a very minor. Oh, I have the wrong screen up again. I think these came out a while ago, but there is competitive balance picks that the Guardians and the Royals are back to back in I guess the middle round, like the
Yeah.
30, what is it, 31st and 32nd pick. So they would basically get a secondary first round pick, and then in the round B, the Tigers, and then the Twins get one. So
I always forget what you have to do in order to get in these rounds. What is it exactly? It's
you have to be, I think you have to take revenue share money. Like you have to be one of the lower, you have to be one of the lower revenue teams in order to qualify for it. And it's basically
that's not a pick you get for like offering somebody the qualifying offer and they decide to go somewhere else.
no, I think that comes after the round
Okay.
competitive balance. So I think like it would be, so the Rockies are seventh in competitive round, eighth. I think the first pick after that would be the comp picks.
The
Something
baseball
like
draft is also very convoluted, which is why I don't care that they added a lottery to it. It's already goofy compared to the other one.
I don't
you're
have particularly
drafting it
strong
as a
opinions.
whole. Like you really are
Yeah.
looking at it as the draft class as a whole rather than the individual player.
Yeah.
Which,
I don't really have that strong opinions about it. I just think it's kind of silly.
Fair.
It's probably easier to understand like theoretical physics than it is the MLB draft.
well, especially when you think of like we're not going to when you go into you get a pool of money you're expected to spend, but then you're
Mhm.
not going to draft the best player, so you can hopefully pick a player who drops in the first round as your second pick. Like it's very, very weird. It's not as straightforward as the NFL draft, where the NFL draft, best player, you see them the next year, and you can have pretty firm opinion pretty quick if they're going to be good. Whoever
And their
drafts,
contract is no longer negotiated. It's just this is what you're going to get paid
right?
for because you
Yeah.
were picked at this position at this number.
All
There's a whole
because
thing with the
Jonathan
second round
Singleton.
draft picks this past year, but yeah, it's pretty
Yeah,
straightforward. The NHL draft lottery is a nightmare. It's so convoluted, and there's also this whole thing where the Red Wings haven't gotten like in the upper round, even though they've had really good odds for it. It's the whole thing. And I don't understand the NHL draft, but my friend who's really into hockey, he's always complaining about how the Red Wings always get shorted. So it's really weird how there's like you get like percent chances of getting each round, and then of each like uh first through 12 or whatever it is. And it's not as straightforward as first, second, third. It's really bizarre, and I don't understand it, and I can't explain it because I don't know what I'm talking about. But it's weird. I wanted to shout out how weird it is.
yeah. Well, on that weird note, I think unless anybody has anything for the betterment of the group, I did find the Metrodome roof collapse because it is one of my favorite.
Yeah, show it to me. I don't think I've
Let's
actually
see
seen
it.
this.
Let's have that take us out.
I'll say to take us out, the Metrodome, Minneapolis, in the middle of a snowstorm. You just see the whole thing come down, and
Oh
then
no!
just a plume of smoke. Yep.
And if I remember correctly, this was on a Sunday morning before.
Yeah, it happened Saturday night. It was a blizzard Sunday night.
Or
Yep.
a Saturday night, Sunday morning. This happened like right before a Vikings
Yes.
home game.
Oh no! What did they do for it?
I think they moved it to Detroit.
I'll say I think they moved it to a close stadium.
I don't think it was been Detroit.
By
I
the way,
don't
the guy
remember it
here,
was Detroit.
I know I alluded to someone like just breaking, but you see this guy here busting through. You can see in the top right corner.
On the
There's
golf
someone on a
cart,
cart getting the hell out of there because I can only imagine how scary that was. But hey, when your roof is air, what did you expect? You're lucky it lasted 30 years.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it was fun. But yeah, just to see the whole thing kind of collapse is a thing. So I think with that,
That's a great video.
and also if you ever hear the video, it's like this almost like the Titanic sinking type sounds, like a lot of crinking, and then you hear the snow hit the turf, and it's just like this.
Oh, they did go to Detroit. I didn't remember that. I
Yeah.
thought they went to okay. Because I remember when the Bills played in Detroit. It was and then because the Bills played in Detroit, and then they played against Detroit, and then they won both of those games, and so they were the most recent team to win back-to-back games at Ford Field for a while. It was a whole thing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and they're the first team since in 3 years, and it wasn't the Lions to win back-to-back games in Ford Field. It's like so, it was a very Lion stat, which is why I remember it.
All right. Well, with that, we should be back next week. Hopefully, there's something to talk about other than Hall of Fame and the roof collapsing, which I guess is a metaphor for the current state of the Twins. But with that said, we'll talk to you guys later.